Hello, and welcome back to the Jason Biggs podcast, the podcast talking about all things Jason Big. You know him from American Pie, American Pie 2, and the successive American Pies, as well as a couple other movies around that time, and then that other American Pie they did later. Other than that, I'm not sure. Listen, yeah, a lot of people get mad at me because I host a podcast that is dedicated entirely to the work of Jason Bigg. But I don't know much about the guy. I don't know. I think that makes total sense. I think it's experimental. I think it's fun. I think it's honest. I think it's real. And I think it's what people want. But we try and have fun around here. It's our second week with the new mic. Also, I'm not doing a backdrop. If you're new to the show, usually I put up a curtain, and you know what? Something about not putting up the curtain makes this feel a lot more free. It makes it feel a lot better and honest and what it is, because I am sitting in my room, and I don't need to lie to you about that, okay? I don't need to lie to you. If you're wondering how many books on this shelf I've read, a little more than you'd expect, but not all of them. I do like to buy books in bunches, and then, it's good. Honestly, the problem is you buy a bookshelf. If you don't own a bookshelf before and you just kind of have books around your room, or, before this, I lived with, my mom and stuff. So the books, maybe there's a family bookshelf. Maybe they're under the desk or the dead or something, whatever. Desk or the dead. What am I thinking I'm doing? What do I think I'm doing? Broadcasting. But anyway, I moved out, wanted a bookshelf. Then you find out you don't have that many books. Personally, I don't own as many books as I thought I owned. And I did start asking for recommendations, but I think that's how everybody does it. There's no way the bookshelf was like the second move. You know what I mean? It's not like you were like, ugh, there's books all over my room from how intellectual I am. I have to get a bookshelf. That's not how it works, but I don't know. We are recording this on a Monday. Spent the weekend in San Diego doing stand-up with my girl Meredith Casey, having a good time. It was a good time. Did a weekend at Madhouse Comedy Club. We were just doing some 10-minute spots before the old headliner went up, and it's fun. I like going down there. They're very nice to me, and I'm trying to get better at, being personable, because you forget, when you do stand up, you forget that not to take the art and what it actually is out of it, but in terms of a club, if you are so lucky to get paid by a club, which hasn't happened yet. But if you're, it's coming. The Venmo's coming. I know it's coming. But if you're so lucky to, to be able to go down to a club, even if it's a lower level club like this one, you should remember that you're a freelance contractor, and that club is now your place of business for this week. And more importantly, hopefully your place of business in the future. So some people, I think, they'll come to clubs and they'll get booked, and they don't act like they're gonna come back, or they don't learn the servers' names or learn the manager's name or whatever. They're not really keeping up. And I have that problem is I meet somebody and I go, oh, what's your name? Because that's what you say when you meet somebody. And then I'm not thinking at all about the fact that I'm going to see them again. And then pretty soon I come back 2 months later and there's a guy and he's like, hey, Cooper, it's great to see you. And I'm like, what's up, man? And that's bad. That's a rough look. So this weekend, I got the names down. They're in my head now. I think I'm going to go back down there at some point in the future, but they're in my head, which was good to have in my head, because you want, if you want to have a long, successful career in stand-up, then you want to be brought back to these places. And best case scenario, when you come in, they like you. They know you as a nice guy. You know what I mean? You know, you get a couple free drinks for the show, but you tip the bartenders every time. Guess what? You're probably going to get an extra free drink. You know what I mean? You got to work that and try and build that ecosystem, you know, and make it happen. They're very nice to me there. Dude that runs the sound there, Mitch, is cool. He will play Grateful Dead when they're cleaning up the show, and I hear that because I always wear a Grateful Dead hoodie way too much, so he knows I like the Dead. I talk about it on stage sometimes. So, you know, you hear that playing and you go, okay, that's good. We got some good graces here. You know what I mean? And I'm not even the headliner, you know? So it was a good weekend. Had a fun time. You know, I think I've talked about the San Diego crowds before on this podcast. You know, I live in LA, so I go down there a decent amount. You know, secondary market. Got to have your secondary market set up. You know what I mean? Sacktown, San Francisco, San Diego, Bakersfield, Fresno. You got to have these places locked down. You got to have people know you and like you there, not think you're a fucking dickhead, and it makes the whole experience a lot better. We went down and it was good. You know, every show was fine. You know, wasn't packed out, but fuck it. And one show. Comics were there were a couple shows. The both late shows because there's 2 shows every day. Both late shows were tough because usually, as you could expect, the late show is drunk people, and it's a tough audience. It's tough to get people who are hammered to be like, I'll just listen to something now. I'll shut up. I'll shut up. You can talk. That doesn't happen. And it's tough in a port town. I'll tell you that much. Because, you know, port towns they got longshoremen there, and one of them was at the show, and you know when he's at the show. He stood up a few times during my set, not to fight me, just because I mentioned him. But he was there, legally separated, not yet divorced, with another woman legally separated, not yet divorced, which is a pretty good way to explain that you're just cheating on your spouses at a show. Also, could you have fucking imagine if you were getting cheated on and the guy took your girlfriend to a comedy show? Like, how disrespectful is that? Like, you're not just gonna fuck each other? Like, are you kidding me? You guys are gonna, like, go, like, have a night and, like, enjoy your... Fuck you. You don't deserve to laugh. You're adulterers, you know? I don't know. They said legally separated, not yet divorced. I don't know. But he was in the crowd and just making out. He wasn't... I mean, that's the best. When somebody's interrupting a show and they're not even, like, talking. Like, this was just this is just middle schoolers, which I don't understand how anybody over the age of, like, I'll go as low as 16 is gonna make out in public. Anything under the age of having a car is acceptable to make out in public because people laugh at you and people look at you and they go, well, the reason they're ruining Avatar... I think I saw Transformers when I was in middle school to go to make out with a girl. I think that was the movie. It was funny. I remember that. We went to the movie theaters to make out, which is, I mean, wow. How exciting is that? To buy tickets to a movie that you're not going to watch. It's just to kiss. And I tried to buy 2 seats because, when I was in middle school, it was when they started doing, you could buy specific seats. So I tried to buy 2 seats in the corner, because I thought it was right at the very top, and I thought it was going to be right next to the projector booth, so there'd be a wall next to us. There would be a guy over here, but I was like, we got a wall. This will work out. Don't worry. Turns out I fucked up. We're just full row in a packed movie theater because we couldn't go at like a weird time. We had to go when people go to the movies. We were like either in school or whatever, you know? So we had to go when people go to the movies. And I walked in and I for the first time felt in my life of like, fuck. This is like not the move. Because I don't like PDA, you know? Even in a dark movie theater, I don't like PDA. So I was like, fuck, this isn't the move. But she was like, this is the move. So I was like, all right, that's what's up. And luckily it was an action movie. So we would make out during the loud parts, and in the quiet parts would just sort of pretend to enjoy Avatar. But, I mean, we made out for just the way a middle schooler would make out, for just like we were in a French kissing competition, like just no tact, and for I would say probably an hour and 10 minutes out of an hour and a half movie. And there was a guy next to me that was probably, catching some elbows, because it was exactly what you think middle schoolers kiss like, just stupid and sloppy, and just throughout the entirety of a movie with people on both sides of us, packed theater. But it's funny because nobody ever said anything. Nobody said anything, and it's because everybody did do that when they were younger, and it is a courtesy that you have to allow children to be horny for each other and each other only in public. And you don't look, but you tolerate, because it's important. It's important for young kids to have the hardest dick possible and not come in a movie theater. And I remember at one point she reached down to feel my dick and went like not to the knee, but pretty far down the leg, and I wanted to be like, "What do you? It's not even done growing yet. Who knows what's gonna happen?" I'll tell you what, it didn't reach the knee, but she was reaching way too far down, and I do respect myself, because I even had the wherewithal as a middle schooler to make a joke in that moment and be like, "It doesn't go that far down my leg. Okay, it doesn't go that far down. It goes far down enough. Okay, let's be clear. But you're almost dealing with feet measurements here. We're below a foot. Okay, Star. That was in middle school. That was her name, Star. She's married now, so that's pretty cool. Good for her. Weird, weird to see people get married. Especially when you knew them in middle school, and you just think, why? And you think like, well, Star was, she was pretty ready to make out, and I guess she was ready to get married. So fuck it, good for her. She's happy now. I don't know. Should I say her name? Is that inappropriate? This was over 10 years ago, but yeah, we just fucking macked, and I think Avatar or something. I don't know. I feel like I'm just now realizing I think I did see Avatar in the theaters, but I don't think I watched it. I think that was it. I don't think I ever really. I know the plot. It's just a bad movie. But that's an important part of life, is that kids, and nobody talks about it because nobody wants to talk about it because it's gross, but somebody has to get on a mic and broadcast about it. But it is an important part of life that you allow kids to be horny in public, or you can fuck with them and go, "Get out of here," and hit them with a broom. And that's fun too. That's also important for them to know that it is not cool necessarily, Because I was probably, some guy next to me was probably a guy my age now that just went out midday to go see a theater. And then some 14-year-old's getting his dick hard next to him, and he's like, "Damn, you already feel like kind of a loser for going to the theaters alone, but you tell yourself that it's not actually sad because it's not. But then this guy's half my age. He's getting pussy over here, I don't know. I ruined his movie. I know that. But once again, I mean, respect on him and everyone around us, because nobody said shit. If we were adults, then people would be mad, because they'd be like, "You have a place. I know you have a place. Even if you're with your parents, that's now your parents have to agree for you to fuck in the house. That's people gotta fuck, And it's nice that agreement exists, that if you do live with your parents when you're older, it is a thing where it's like, well, we do have to let him fuck in here. Because if he's not fucking in here, then he's probably never going to leave the house. You know what I mean? It's if you are a parent and you have a kid that's like 20 plus living in your house, like starting to reach the age where it's like, okay, maybe you should go. But you got till, I'd say you want to be out by 25. And even that seems a little late, but with how expensive shit is now, it's, whatever. But if I had a kid and they were like 20 to 25 and they were still living in the house, I'd be like, all right, that's fine. As long as you're fucking. Because listen, I don't want you fucking in the house, but you fucking in the house is going to make you really not want to live here. You know what I mean? Because if you're getting no pussy or a dick, then living in your parents' house is great. You don't pay any fucking rent, you get meals, you just fucking play video games all day. You can just stay in your room. You're not really even in their way. You know what I mean? It's when you're living a normal life that now you're, in people's way. You know what I mean? And that was a deciding factor of what got me out of the house. Is I fucked, I'm not bragging here, but I definitely fucked too many people in my mom and stepdad's house as a legal adult to where it got to the point where I knew I had to go. I was like, this doesn't work. If I stay here, it's not, I can't be just bringing back girls I've known for too long that live in the valley here to fuck them in this guest bedroom or my bedroom, but might as well call it a guest. And also, grossly so, you do have to have respect for your mom's life and respect for your stepdad. And you don't like it, but those are the concessions you make in life where you go, listen, of course I don't like the divorce. Of course I wish my parents were together, even though I don't even live with them. I just wish things could have worked out, of course. But also, the fact of the matter is, there's a guy named Steve now, and he would like to fuck my mom, and he's gonna fuck my mom, and I gotta get out of here. I did come home one time. This is funny. I had done stand-up, and I had bombed at a mic, and then I think also not gotten up at a mic, and I think something even extra dumb had happened that day. And it was a terrible day of being a young, unsuccessful, already depressed stand-up comedian doing comedy. And I was going to do 3 mics a night, and the first 2, something happened that pissed me off so much. I was like, fuck it, I'm just going home. I don't fucking care. I'm driving back to the valley from LA. I'm going home, whatever. And I walk through the door and then just hear my mom getting fucked. And, they didn't do anything wrong. It's their home. I wasn't home. They probably expected me to come home later. I'm sure there was a conversation that I didn't even know was a planning conversation that happened earlier that day. I'm sure earlier that day she was like, what are you up to today? Because she's trying to, I get it. I came in, I heard him getting fucked, and I don't think I took more than 2 steps in the house, and I just go, God fucking damn. I think I actually might have went, fuck me, and then walked out of the house and just went to a Starbucks and sat there and wrote stand-up, or pretended to, for an amount of time that seemed like they have to be done fucking now. It was an amount of time that I was like, they have to, if they're still going, stop. If I come back to the house and Steve is still fucking my mom, stop. Enough. Okay? Enough of this. What are you doing? What are you, Italian? So, I don't know. Just have some Irish respect and fuck quickly like a rabbit, But I left. And then I came back and had to see my mom be too chipper for my liking. But that's really what gets you out of the house is sex. It's either hearing it or doing it. And I guess in a perfect world, it is hopefully both until you leave, It was funny because I would tell my mom, I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to move out. And, my mom's so nice and, she loves me so much. She likes having me around. So she was like, God, you really don't have to. You know what I mean? It's okay. I don't want you to leave. I'm not pushing you out. I totally get if you want to be an adult and all that stuff, but don't worry about it. I could tell my stepdad, who likes me. We have a good relationship. He's never a dick to me. He would never tell me you got to get out. But he was always telling my mom like, no, I think it's good for him. I think it's good for him because it's good for him too. You know what I mean? And you got to respect that. And mom's got to get fucked. You know what I mean? My girlfriend is a mother, and she's got to fuck. You know what I mean? And if all things go well and I stay with her like I'd like to, there is going to be a point where that boy is old enough to understand that people are fucking. And I just hope that if we happen to all be living together, that one of us is rich enough to have a huge fucking house. Because I'll tell you what, even a 3-bedroom, you're going to hear some fucking. You know what I mean? To really have a good, healthy stepdad-stepson relationship, you need a corridor's distance. You know what I mean? You need a wing. A wing is perfect. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, we're over in the west wing right now. How about from 6 to 8, you stay east, you know? That's what you want, but shit's expensive, so what are you gonna do? But yeah, so that was the deal. I don't know how we got on this. I think I was talking about San Diego. Yeah, because I'm talking about these fucking adults kissing in a comedy show. That's what's crazy. A movie theater makes total sense because it's much darker than a comedy show. There's no lights. It's just the screen. That's the only thing you need. And also, the people in the movie cannot see you kissing. But these people sat pretty much front row. Like, not stage, but like the row right behind it and a little to the left. But the stage is obviously lit very well for the comedian, and those lights are bright enough that they bleed to the first few rows. So those people are lit up, and you can see them. And it's just so funny to make out at a comedy show, because what is the comedian doing besides looking around? And, it's good to look at everybody. You're not just going to look at, just straight ahead or over everybody's head. When a comedian does that, it's kind of obvious and it seems a little weird for the crowd. So I don't know what the fuck these people were expecting. But also, comedy, it's like, it isn't a boom and it's more popular and it's more talked about. But it is still something that people don't know how to act at a comedy show. And I don't really know if I necessarily want people to learn, because then stand-up will be taken too seriously, and you have shit like today where everybody's just, a little too mad about shows they weren't even at, So I don't know what the fuck these people were expecting, but also it really lends to the theory that they were just cheating, because it's like, why do you got to make out here? You know what I mean? But that's a longshoreman, you know what I mean? It's also funny to see how much comedians just don't know about the world. And I'm not going to pretend this is useful knowledge, but a longshoreman is not a fisherman. They only work on land. They on and offload ships at the port. And no fucking comedian understood that. There was a comic, and she was like, what's up with you? And he was like, I'm a longshoreman. And she was like, oh my gosh, I feel like you should have a long white beard and have lived. And I just wanted to be like, he's just a fucking warehouse guy. This is a glorified warehouse guy that gets to be in a fucking union. And I'll tell you what, there's nobody more confident than a drunk union man. You cannot fuck with a drunk union man, because you try and fuck with guys with crowd work if they're being rude or disruptive or stupid. You want to kind of make them look like the dumb guy, lightly and have fun. But it's really tough with a guy in the union, because you can't be like, oh, what the fuck do you do for work? Because his work is the pride of his entire life. He's like, what do I do for work? I'm a longshoreman in the union, make $300K a year with benefits, which he did mention. It was so funny. I was like, because I was on stage after these comics, and I was like, man, it's so funny that nobody fucking knows what a longshoreman even does. So I was like, they on and offload the ships. And I was like, you in the union? He's like, yeah. And then I made the joke I just made. I'm a hack. I said, yeah, there's nobody more confident than a drunk guy in the fucking union. It's like, because they make $350K a year, got insurance, and he's like, and benefits. I was like, I fucking know about the benefit. They won't shut up about the goddamn benefits. Anybody in your union will not shut the fuck up about the goddamn benefits. And I get it. But it is so funny because everybody in the union is just a guy that if you talk to him, he will tell you how he's set up. You know what I mean? Or he'll just tell you about like this new thing he's doing, and he'll be like, and you can make this much a year. And that's like the only fucking conversation they have, of just being like, if you fucking get in the union, you can make that much a fucking year. And I got ATVs now. You know what I mean? It's like he's spending his money in the worst fucking ways, which is funny that like there are all these amazing jobs that you don't need to go to college for that pay higher than so many you do go to college for. And the only people that get them are people who do not even know what to do with the money. Like, that is a perfect steady job for the rest of your life. Like $300K a year, you know, you're not rolling in it, but if you live in the right area, you could have a house. $300K a year, you have benefits, you have a retirement built in. You could be so rich if you took even $15K a year and just invested it, because it's such steady, sure money. But they don't invest it. They just get fucking ATVs and act like it's an investment. They're like, well, the resale value is actually pretty good, so I got my assets, diversified among, several all-terrain vehicles at the moment. But yeah, he was disruptive. But I mean, that's how it is, because this club is situated in the Gaslamp district, or the downtown, I guess, kind of San Diego. And that place on a fucking Saturday night at 9 p.m. is just one big outdoor frat house. That's all it is. It's all the same aggression. It's all the same fucking tube top energy. It's just everybody is playing their part. Me and my girlfriend were walking down the street, just seeing girls coming out of buildings in 60-degree weather with a fake snakeskin tube top and a shitty leather skirt, looking like fucking shit. You know what I mean? Like, you just got a shitty Julia Roberts costume on. Jamie Lee from Pretty Woman. Walking around, and all the dudes are just in jeans, maybe bootcut, and a t-shirt that's too small for them, with a logo that's just like a circle with like a fucking flash thing through it, and it says like Arrow Brewing or whatever. And that's, everybody plays their part. And it's weird, because I was walking around, and it's like this area of like 4 blocks is all just party, just all bar, and just basic, in the most basic sense of the word, party. Like, there's no vibe, it's not like LA. There's no vibe to any of it. It's just the party, and everybody comes down there for the party, and that's where it is. And it's weird, because in LA, I was like, where does this happen in LA? And I couldn't put my finger on it. I was thinking like maybe West Hollywood on like Saturday nights, on those like rows of, of gay bars and shit, like when the boys are out. But that's all a specific type of person. That's like gay dudes and women that hang out there. And then on the east side, you have like a few bars in the same area, and that's all like douchebags like me. You're just brooding faux intellectuals, And then you got like Santa Monica, which are just people who don't think about anything else except Santa Monica, and they're rich and white and kind of like San Diego, but more hoity-toity. But none of those places are like, the streets are not packed. It's not like, there's no like French Quarter vibe, you know what I mean? It's like, there's no like packed bar streets. Like in LA, it's all like, well, you hang out here if you're a douchebag. You hang out here if you're an artsy douchebag. You hang out here if you're a rich douchebag. But there's no like central spot. So it's wild to just see all these people just converge on an area, and just the dumbest people in the world. And, like the second show on the second night was hilarious, because these people were so not excited to be there. Just every comic was just going up and just eating a dick almost by no fault of their own. Just tepid laughter. And I went up and I was like, man, you guys are not excited to fucking be here. And they laughed at that. And I was able to perk them up a bit, because I was the first comic, that had the privilege of going up and being like, you guys kind of suck, and people like hearing that. So they perked up a little bit for me. But for the most part, they were just like not fully there. And, I looked at the crowd and I was like, I have a feeling these people are just a level of drunk where they can't make a lot of noise. You know what I mean? I think they're all just a level of drunk, which I know sounds crazy, but I'm talking about the solitude drunk of like when you're so drunk where you're just like, I'm just gonna fucking sit here and whatever. And that was a vibe for the second show. And it was crazy. And then we were driving back to the place that we were staying. My girlfriend looked out and she was like, you know, the shows, especially the late ones that we did, make so much more sense when you realize what these people are walking out of, because this club is just in the middle of this outdoor frat house, you know what I mean? And a lot of times, they'll bark people in. So not everybody planned to come to the show. They were just on the street. And then some guy was like, you want to go fucking see a comedy show? And drunk people will go, damn, funny stuff? That sounds great. And they don't realize what they're signing up for is like, you got to sit down and be quiet for an hour and a half, which a lot of them don't want to do. So, you have to be aware of your surrounding and aware of where these people are coming from and what they're walking out of, you know what I mean? And what you're getting into. Because it's a weird thing where like these people came out to just go crazy and have a fun night. And now all of a sudden they've been sequestered into this room that they thought was just a fun bar, but no, now it's the thoughts of people. You know what I mean? It's such a vibe change because it's like I'd been drinking a little, I seem to be drinking the most of anybody on the show, and I had like fucking 4 beers throughout like 5 hours. Like I wasn't even drinking a lot. But most of these comedians are sober, so it's like you're fucking coming out of this insane crazy sidewalk and then you walk into people who are like just going to express themselves to you. And I think it's probably generally like jarring to people where they're just like, what the fuck happened? We were having so much fun outside and now this guy's talking about his mom. Like this is so odd, And you have to have empathy for the people that, came in to try and have a fun time. You know what I mean? You got to work with them and be thankful that they're there. You know what I mean? And that's a thing that I try and remember because like Louis C.K. said a good thing where he was like, comedy audiences are nice people. They're coming in to listen to you, which is hard. It took an hour and a half it's about how long a comedy show goes. It took an hour and a half and they decided to listen to you and not be on their phone and hopefully not talk to their friends. And that's like a nice thing for them to do. So it's always funny to me, and none of the comics did this on the show, but it's always funny to me when comics go up into a room that, hasn't had the most laughs going on in it. And they're like, well, fuck you guys, you fucking assholes and shit. It's like, dude, they are so nice to sit down and fucking listen to you. You know what I mean? It's so kind of them. You gotta find a way to be with them. You know what I mean? You gotta find a way that these people, they're on your side. You know what I mean? They're on your side by virtue of the fact that they stepped foot into this fucking club. You know what I mean? So it's a good thing to remember. But yeah, it was fun. It was a great weekend. Besides the fact that when we were in Old Town, touristy family, part of the Mission District. We were in Old Town, and we got back to my girl's car. It was mid fucking day. It was 4 p.m. We got back to her car. Somebody shot her car with like a BB gun or a slingshot or something because the window was shattered. It hadn't fallen out yet. The way car windows crack, they just sort of they just spider web. It was spider webbed, but there was a little hole where glass had obviously went through. It had been pushed through, and this happened in the middle of the day, and that was the first day we were there. And we love Old Town. If I lived in San Diego, I'd never go down there, but I don't. So it's fun because some of the restaurants are all right. They're at least fun places. They're loud Mexican restaurants. We went to the sushi place you like, but they're loud Mexican restaurants, usually family dining, and you get a beer and a taco that's kind of shitty, but you don't talk about it. And they got a cigar bar that's very nice. I like going down there. I like being down there a lot. And it's friendly and accommodating. And it was fucking midday. We get back and this window's just fucking shattered. So that's how it started. And then it was funny because it's like, you know, we're both kind of upset. And then we had to go straight to a show and do comedy that was in like a crystal shop. And they were serving on the back patio of like some nice crystal and candle shop where they were serving like Neapolitan pizzas and just having the energy of like, this fucking window just got cracked. You know what I mean? Like, it was not the same vibe as everybody in there. But that's how it started. But everything was okay besides that. But that's how the weekend began. But it was fun. We stayed my girl's friend's place in a little old shitty aluminum box trailer that she revamped to make it look like retro and tacky, and it was cute. We stayed in there. Nothing like sleeping on an incline. You know what I mean? Nothing like when the bed is just 2 inches that way that you can just tell, you know, and probably less than an inch even, but your body is just like, why? What the fuck is happening? And that's how we slept. And her roommate was there, who's a very nice person. They have a 17-year-old cat, and you wouldn't believe it, but it's dying. I know. This 17-year-old cat has got blood coming out of its pussy, and it's fixed, and it's throwing up. And I was in the shower, but my girlfriend told me that the roommate knocked on the cabin door and was like, "Can I talk to you?" And then cried to my girlfriend about how her like 90-year-old in cat years cat is dying. And my girlfriend is a mom, so she has a lot of empathy for this woman, but in her head she's also like, yeah, of course it's dying. It's a 17-year-old cat. That's what 17-year-old cats do. They puke up blood and mucus, and then they die. Did you think? And I knew that cat was dying from the moment I saw it, because I walked in, and they had one cat. It was a cute little kitty, loud one, too. I love a talkative cat. When you walk in, it's like, meow. It's like, hello. Walked in, year-old kitty, still a little small, kind of a teenager cat body. Walked in, met that cat. I was like, this cat's great. She was like, you got to meet my cat. It's in my room right now. We walked over to her room, and the cat, you know when a cat just looks like a dish rag? You know what I mean? Like it was a beautiful cat. You know what I mean? It was one of those like black and brown and little orangish, but it was old, and it's just something about the hair wasn't even patchy, but it looked patchy. You know what I mean? It had a full coat, but it didn't look like it. You know, and it was laying in the way of like its head wasn't down; it was technically lifted, but that you could tell that was kind of the most the cat could lift the head. And it's crazy to be shown a cat that you know is fucking dying. You know what I mean? Like it's very weird, because she was like, you got to meet my cat. And I was like, great, because I love cats. And I met this cat, and there really was a part of me that had to stop myself from being like, oh, is it going to die when we're here? Like, this cat is like not doing well. It was very weird that she didn't, like, she was saying like, yeah, he's getting old, he's tired, you know, she mentioned that. But I wanted to be like, can you say out loud how bad this cat is doing so I don't feel insane? Because this cat is not doing, it was literally like if she walked me in and was like, I think we might need to take my cat to the vet, and showed me to the cat, I'd be like, that makes more sense than you just showing me the cat. Like, this is a fucked up cat. So then when my girlfriend was like, yeah, that cat is like not doing well, I was like, of course it's not doing well. But also, like, it's so funny. There's something about like staying at a person's house that you don't know is like, that is when the cat dies for some reason. You know what I mean? I was like, I bet this cat's gonna die. But what's funny is apparently, I don't know, I guess she does need to put down the cat, but I guess they said it's not dire. She took it to the vet. But I was also like, sorry I'm moving the mic a lot. I hope that's not annoying. But she was like, yeah, no, we don't need to put down the cat. And it's a moment where it's like, I didn't know this person, but I wanted to be like, Yeah, you do. What fucked up vet told you don't need to kill this cat? You definitely need to kill this cat. It's pretty rude of you to still have this cat. Its bones are not working well. This cat is ready to be fucking taxidermied, like I know you will have it, you know? But the cat lived. I don't know, the cat lived. But it was funny, though, because she was like, yeah, he's got, like, blood coming out of its ass or pussy or some shit. And it was just funny because I just wanted to be like, yeah, this wasn't happening before we showed up. I was like, this cat should have blood coming out of its ass. What are you talking about? But I also told her, I was like, it might not be dying. It's just like at that age, of course it's going to have a bunch of weird shit going on. Like, it's not like the cat's going to be in good health. It was a weird thing to be like, listen, I don't think your cat has to die today, but let's be clear about the fact that this cat's run is at the end. So I'm waiting to hear about this cat. I think it'll be dead within the next 2 weeks, or at least should be put down for its own sake. But you got a cute little kitten in there that's still having a good time that doesn't know what's going to happen to it later in life. So that's good. But I don't know. The Mexican food in San Diego is, I know I haven't found the good stuff. I know there is good Mexican food, but it's not good there. It's not good because it's all fucking restaurants. My favorite Mexican food is like taco stands, where you can get, not just tacos, but tortas and burritos and tostadas or whatever. That's the best Mexican food. You go down to San Diego and they're like, oh yeah, no, this place is one of the best places. And it's like a restaurant with booths. And you're like, there's no way. There's no way this is the best. What are you talking about? Like, I don't know. It's like pizza shops in NY where I'm like, I'm sure there's an amazing one here, but it's like there's 90% of the shit is trash. And a lot of the food in San Diego is fucking trash. All the food I've eaten there is either pretty bland tasting Mexican food or like weird influencer restaurants. I mean, we went out to dinner with girlfriend's got some friends that live down there. So we went out to dinner with a few of her friends and their mom, and we went to this place that was like very good for pictures. You know what I mean? It was you walk into a restaurant and you're like, fuck, they got fake vines hanging off the walls. This food is gonna stink. And they were, I don't know what they were really doing, but it was like they had seafood and they also had sushi. And I remember reading the rolls and just being like, none of this makes sense. And I got a roll that was definitely just made by a white person, and it's so weird to see. People act like sushi's easy to make. It's not easy to make. It's the form, okay, and the hands which made it are so important, and the quality of the fish is so important. And when you get sushi that's made by white people, it just falls apart. It's just some guy back there named Brad that can't fucking roll tuna for his life because he shouldn't be doing it in the first place. You know what I mean? We went there and just, had some of the worst oysters of all time. I don't even like oysters, but I was like, these are rough. I don't know. It was very funny because the waiter was like a young, I guess, attractive woman. You know when you see somebody who's hot and you're like, yeah, I guess you check the boxes, but I don't know. There's too much going on. This is like, I don't know. It's almost like when you see like a souped up Chrysler to look like a Bentley or something. You're like, I guess, you know what I mean? But it was like a person that was supposed to be hot. Is what she was attractive, but she was also supposed to be hot. That was the kind of restaurant. And my girlfriend was ordering sashimi, and she was like, "Have you ever had toro?" She was like, "No." And toro's like tuna belly. It's very good. It's a good nigiri or sashimi. It's very good cut. She was like, "Have you ever had that?" And she was like, "No." She was like, "It's one of my favorites. I always recommend it to people. You should try it." And my girlfriend was like, "Sure." And then she walked away. I was like, "It's a little more expensive." And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Yeah, like $10 more expensive." And she was like, "Yeah, I don't know why I said yes." I was like, "'Cause you don't know how to deal with an attractive server." It's so funny that like women will joke all the time about like, oh, men are so dumb because they think strippers like them, or they think like an attractive server likes them when literally all they're doing is their job. Of course, she's being nice to you. She's serving your food. She's not going to be a dick. But she spent more money on the sushi and was like, yeah, I don't know why. And I go, because you guys don't know how to do that. It's not in your head. The funniest thing in the world is seeing a woman be tricked by another hot woman, which is funny because my girlfriend's hot. So it's like, she should, but she got tricked by a hot lady. And it's like, it's funny because you guys don't, if you're not pursuing women, you don't have the thing in your head where you, as a young man, have to tell yourself, this server does not like me. This server would just like a 30% tip, okay? And I'll fucking give it to her. But, it's like, if you're not a fucking idiot, you learn pretty quickly that any hot woman serving you food doesn't fucking like you. She just wants you to spend more money. But my girlfriend was just wooed and dazzled by some lady, and that's all it took. Spend more money. And I was like, yeah, you gotta watch out for it. But it's so funny because it's like grown ass women will act like little boys around a hot girl. It's so funny how the hot girl gene just works on everybody. It just covers just all bases. Just even women. Just like my girlfriend's like primarily straight. I think she'll fuck around a little, but not now. But primarily straight, but she knows a hot lady. She can be attracted to a woman, but still primarily straight. Primarily straight adult woman has the like societal dealing with hot women knowledge of a 12-year-old boy. Like to trick them into spending $100 more is the easiest thing in the world, because it's just like, yeah, no, they're lying to you too. They're lying to everybody, and they're not liars. They're servers. It's their job to be nice and lie. But to see that happen was good, because it was almost like having a son where I was like, now you know for the future that they're just trying to get you to spend more money. And in the future, when a hot lady tells you to try a new food, you tell her to fuck off. Okay? If a hot woman tells you what food to eat, you go, listen, I know what food I like, and I know that I'm not attractive. So I'm going to order a burger and tip you 20% like I was going to, because this is not fooling me. I am not going to get the $23 truffle burger because you said it was your absolute fave, okay? I will consider it. Because you got to get tricked a little to untrick yourself. But, she got bamboozled. But it was good. Toro's great, so it was a good idea. I was like, honestly, it's not a grift. You know what I mean? Toro is good. She's not lying to you. But that was good. And yeah, we had a fun time. They came to the show. She did great. They liked my set too. My brother came. It was good to see him. All in all, not a bad San Diego weekend, besides getting our car vandalized by crooks and criminals. Now I've just been back. I don't know. I've been looking for apartments because I want to move out. I want to move out because my rent is so cheap. It's so cheap. It's like $700, but which for LA to have a room of your own, even with roommates, is fucking insane. But I got 3 roommates, and really I got 2. The third, he's never here. So, he's living a great life and he's never here. So, if he's not making messes, it's kind of like you don't have a roommate. But I got essentially 2 roommates, and we're all a similar type of guy where we're not cleaning up after ourselves. We got a fucking tiny ass trash can in the bathroom that is overflowing, that is still there. And I look every day and I go, I got to take this out. The amount of dust and just crumbs is insane. Because also my roommate started working at a bakery and brought in bread. I've mentioned that before. The crumb in the house is insane. The volume of crumb is absolutely off the charts. So the place looks like shit. We just got fucking algae just growing in the shower. And it's so fucking gross. And I want to get out. And I know a lot of people be like, well, yeah, but isn't your new place just going to look like shit? And it's like, yeah, it'll look a little bit like shit. But also the problem is, if 3 messy dudes live together, what they're going to do is assume that the other two guys who are just as big of pieces of shit as them are going to clean up the messes that they don't want to clean up. And it's like, no. You're all penguins. None of you are going to fly. You know what I mean? Like, I look at that trash, I'm like, that's got to be taken out. And I know that I have to do it. You almost essentially live alone in terms of cleaning up. You can't rely on anybody else to do it. So it's like, I want to move out because if I live in a studio apartment and it looks like shit, then I'm the only one I can look at. And that's an easy solution for me. And it's an easy solution here to just fucking clean it up. But I gotta have a little fire under my ass here. I gotta have to save more money for rent, and I gotta be able to look at a mess in my apartment and go, well, it's just me who's gonna be doing this. So I can do it later. Nobody will get mad, and that's a plus. But I should probably just do it now because there is no amount of time where if I wait out this overflowing trash can, it'll just disappear. You know what I mean? And a lot of having roommates is just like a dumb kind of magic that you're hoping for, where you're like, okay, well, maybe this mess will just not be here. You know, maybe one of us will like take an Adderall and think about killing ourselves so much that the bathroom gets cleaned. You know what I mean? Like maybe that will happen. And it just doesn't, because it's like, you're all pieces of shit. You're just going to keep being pieces of shit. So one of the pieces of shit has to move out so it can smell its own shit and go, okay, we got to make some changes, you know? So I'm trying to move out. It was funny because my roommate was like, is there anything, you know, I was telling him I was thinking about moving out. He's like, is there anything that I can do that might, you know, make you want to stay? And I was like, I don't know, change your entire life and inspire me to change mine? Like, no, you're not doing anything wrong, man. Like, you're living your life. Like, no, it's just fucked. And I got to get out of here. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know, it's funny because he was trying to talk me out of it. He was like, yeah, you move out, you think you're going to do all this stuff, and then you just end up not doing it. And I was like, well, listen, man, the fucking equation that we got going on in here right now is not working. The math is not adding up. None of us are getting better or healthier or excelling our lives, okay? So staying here is definitely not the option. And it is very funny when somebody's like, oh, you know, making that huge life change isn't going to change who you are. And it's like, well, what the fuck is? What, I vacuum the fucking hallway once and then it's clean for 3 days and I think everything's okay and then it comes right back? These problems are coming back all the time, man. It's like I have to put myself in a position where I have to do something. You know what I mean? I've realized that I'm the type of person that making a positive change just in my head is possible, but right now I need the world to close in on me a little. You know what I mean? Because I got too much free reign with this cheap rent and apartment that nobody cares about keeping clean. You know what I mean? I have to be my own uptight roommate and be like, this is fucked in here, you know? So, I don't know. I was looking around at apartments and I toured a good one today, an actual studio apartment, because LA is very funny. I'm sure this happens in other cities, but LA is very funny because they will try and sell you what they call a studio apartment, and it is not. It is one of two things. It is either a common living space, which is like this. Okay, so you live with roommates. Do you want to just have like 35 more and have to walk down 3 flights of stairs to a kitchen and have a shared bathroom once again 3 flights down? No. That's not a studio apartment. That is a box with 35 fucking roommates. This is the worst thing in the world. I might as well just live in a Marriott. And then the other thing is you have a old building that used to be a hotel and is now being turned into apartments. And what that means is you have not a studio apartment, but just a room, just the smallest room possible. And they put in a 2-burner electric stove with no oven and a fucking mini fridge. And they're like, it has a kitchen. And you're like, you can't. What am I going to cook in here? Fucking Play-Doh? Like, this isn't a way to live. This isn't life, you know, and they sell it where it's like, it was a very old, nice building. You're like, yeah, and it should have stayed a fucking hotel. This is the dumbest thing I've ever saw. So I finally toured an apartment that was just a normal fucking studio apartment. And I was like, yeah, this is good. It's shitty, but this is good. You know what I mean? And it's got a pool. You gotta like that, a little pool action. So I don't know. We might do that. I just need to, sometimes you just have to get out. And there's no logical way to explain it. You know what I mean? There's no like, well, if I get out, my life will be better. I don't think it will. It'll be different. And I just got to get the fuck out. And if you ever have that instinct in you of being, you physically need to get out of a place, get the fuck out of there. Don't make shit work. That's a terrible way to live. I'll make it work. No, you won't. Okay? You need to be in a position where making it work is not even a thought. It's you need to be in a position where this is how it is. Okay? Don't ever look at a shitty situation in your life and go, I'll make this work, because it's only going to work as much as a fucking Chevy Silverado from 1975 is going to work in 2023, okay? Yeah, it might roll down a hill, but it's not going to get you to work, okay? So stop trying to make stuff work. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Break the ties and move on, you know? And then you get to feel like your life is changing. You know what I mean? Because it is. And you get to feel like you're doing something good, even if you're not really doing much. You know what I mean? Even if my life doesn't get any better, it'll just be like, hey, I moved out. I got my own place. You know what I mean? It's the whole thing, you know? And that's the real growth, is like moving out of your parents' house is one thing. But the big move is moving out of your shitty roommate situation. That's when you become a new type of person. Maybe not the type of person you're gonna be, but that's where you start to form because who are you gonna be when you're alone in a studio apartment? Who are you gonna be when nobody's around but just your thoughts? You gonna cry in your bed? Or are you gonna throw a pull-up bar on that closet door and start getting jacked? You know what I mean? I'm probably not going to do either. I'll probably do something in the middle where I get up and make myself food and go, look at this. I got my own kitchen. I sit down at my tiny dining table and I eat and it feels good, you know? That's probably where we'd be looking more, you know what I mean? And that's what you want. But yeah, I mean, I got that urge to just get the fuck out. So I got to get the fuck out. So I don't know, maybe in the next, 6 episodes, who knows? Maybe we'll have a different venue for the pod, a whole new look, and that would be great. And you're all invited. Every single one of you that listens. The view count's still so low that you could definitely all fit in the studio. So I'd love to see you all there once it happens. We'll have a podcast housewarming party. I'm completely kidding, but nobody would come anyway, so I could be serious. I could give out my address on this podcast every single day. Nobody's showing up. And that's the good news. But yeah, I don't know. Once again, this has been the Jason's Biggs podcast. It is all things Jason Big. We had another tough day today where we did not get to the Jason Big portion of the show. We are on episode 31, and we are still trying to get to the Jason Big portion of the show. But I have a feeling that eventually we will get there and we'll be able to talk a little more about him. To all the Jason Big fans that listen, I'm very sorry that we haven't touched on him yet. I just still have a lot of things in my life that I need to talk about and get through. But I think eventually there will be some discussion about J Big. Biggs, I don't know. Anyway, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next week. I love you so fucking much.